You've probably heard of Carl Jung, right? His work pretty much laid the foundation for how we think about personality. But there's this modern idea that takes it to a whole new level. A personality type that's so rare it could actually change the way you see yourself entirely. Today, we're going to dive into the 7 signs of what they call the super empath.
So, does this question just hit you right in the gut? Have you always felt like you're on a slightly different wavelength from everyone else? Maybe you feel things more deeply, see things others miss, and you just can't seem to find where you fit in? Well, according to the sources we're looking at, there might be a very real, very specific reason for that.
And we're not talking about just being a little bit different. We're talking about a personality type that is genuinely rare. So uncommon, in fact, that most people will go their entire lives and never, ever meet someone who truly fits this profile. It's a fascinating and, for some, a really validating idea.
This quote really just sets the scene perfectly. See, this isn't about being a little more sensitive than average. This is about having a completely different psychological operating system, one that's tuned to a frequency that most people just can't pick up on. And that's what defines the super empath.
Okay, so what in the world is a super empath? Now, this is where it gets really crucial. The core idea here is that this is not an identity you are born with. It's not in your DNA. It is forged. It is created through experience.
Let's break that down for a second. You start with someone who has a natural inborn sensitivity. Then you combine that with some pretty intense life experiences. That combination is so powerful that it literally rewires how their brain works, changing the very way they process reality and feel emotions.
And this slide really shows you the 2 key ingredients, right? On one side, you have that innate sensitivity. On the other, intense experience. It's the collision of these 2 massive forces that creates this unique psychological blueprint. It's a kind of powerful and often really painful alchemy.
All right, let's get into the heart of it, the 7 defining signs. I want you to think of these as pieces of a puzzle. When you start putting them together, they begin to reveal this incredibly rare and complex identity.
So sign number 1 is this: penetrating perception. You can read people with an accuracy that is frankly a little disturbing, both for you and for them. You don't just see their behavior, you see the why behind it. Their core motivations, their old traumas, their defense mechanisms. It's all crystal clear to you. And this isn't some cool party trick. It was a skill you had to develop to survive. And now, you can't turn it off.
Now that leads directly to the second sign, which is a total paradox. Your presence can actually make other people really uncomfortable. Why? Because your authenticity is so high that it makes their social masks feel totally transparent. People feel completely seen by you, and it causes them to overshare, and then later they resent you for it. So you end up being the person everyone calls in a crisis, but the one who gets avoided at the party. Sign number 3, mandatory solitude. And I have to stress that word, mandatory. This has nothing to do with being an introvert. This is about critical psychological maintenance. When you're around people, you're constantly absorbing their energy, their emotions, their stuff. You have to have that alone time to discharge all of it. If you don't get it, you start to feel destabilized, like you're coming apart at the seams.
Okay, this next sign is a really tough one. Super empaths are often magnets for predatory personalities, like narcissists and dark empaths. It's because your deep well of empathy is seen as the absolute highest quality narcissistic supply. It's not random. They can sense your energetic signature from a mile away and are drawn to it. And the really tragic part? This pattern often starts way back in childhood.
And that leads to sign number 5, a profound, almost bone-deep loneliness. It's a strange irony, isn't it? You can connect deeply with almost anyone, but almost no one can truly connect back with you. It's like being a deep-sea diver in a world of shallow swimming pools. Your relationships almost always feel one-sided because so few people can meet you where you are, down in the depths.
Number 6 is a big one. It's the experience of psychological death and rebirth, and sometimes this happens more than once. We're not just talking about a rough patch. We're talking about a crucible event that's so intense, your entire sense of who you are just dissolves. You're left with nothing. And from that empty space, you have to rebuild your entire self from the ground up, emerging completely transformed. This cycle is a hallmark of the super empath's journey.
And that brings us to the seventh and final sign. You understand darkness. You've faced your own shadow, your own capacity for anger, for jealousy, for cruelty, and you've learned to integrate it without letting it consume you. Because of that, you can look at the darkness in other people without flinching and without judgment. This creates a really powerful balance. You have endless compassion for the wounds people carry, but you have absolutely zero tolerance for people who use those wounds as a weapon.
So when you hear all 7 of those signs laid out, it becomes pretty clear that this is a heavy path to walk, and that brings us to this fundamental truth of the experience. The burden and the power are just 2 sides of the very same coin.
This visual just nails it, doesn't it? That profound loneliness is the burden, for sure, but it's a direct result of the profound power you hold. You simply cannot have one without the other. Your depth is the source of your greatest pain, but it is also, and always, the source of your greatest strength.
And this quote, if any of this is resonating with you, this is so important to really hear. This whole thing isn't some superpower you chose. It's a set of survival tools. It's a burden you were handed, and you developed these incredible skills simply to make it through.
But here's the pivot. Here's the most important takeaway from all of this. Your rarity is your strength. That incredible depth you have isn't a problem that you need to fix. It's a power that you need to learn how to own.
Let this one really sink in for a minute. Your intensity is not too much. You are not too sensitive or too deep. You are operating exactly as you are forged to operate, at a frequency that naturally challenges the world around you.
So stop apologizing for it. Seriously, stop making yourself smaller to fit into rooms that were never meant to contain you. Stop dimming your own light just so others won't have to squint.
And this is the final, most powerful point. Your purpose in this life isn't to run around healing everybody. Your primary purpose is to become whole yourself. Because when you do that in your own wholeness, you become a beacon, a lighthouse for others who are finally ready to do their own work.
So we'll leave you with this question to carry with you. You're rare, you're powerful. How are you going to honor it?